What's going on, everybody? Hope you're staying cool, because I'm not currently. Out here about to do a little bit of prep work in our garden. So I've been meaning to do a garden video for a while, just hadn't gotten around to it with other things going on. Oh, and I'm about to drop the camera, along with a bunch of other stuff on me, because our garage is just so organized right now. But I want to take some time and just talk through kind of how we prep the garden and kind of how we've grown into that, some mistakes that we've made along the way, and some things that we're learning, but also to give you a chance to see just how easy it can be, and how I think lots of people are scared of it, scared of how much work it could be, which I was definitely one of those people. Oh, all right, there we go. So just wanted to maybe give you a little bit more info, talk you through a couple things, and yeah, share with you how easy it can be to grow your own food and how necessary it is, especially right now. I even heard on the news this morning, right here at the 1st of August in 2020, in the midst of the big pandemic that's sweeping the world, that grocery store prices, food prices are skyrocketing for all sorts of reasons. So being able to produce and supplement and do your own thing is a win. All right, now our summertime crops that we've grown, we're kind of on the tail end of those, but I'll kind of share with you what we've done and how we did it and where we put things. But also show you what we're prepping for going into our fall and winter crops as well. But also too, in case you didn't notice, Emily hates it, but I've got a nice mustache now. If you love the mustache, leave a comment, tell me you do. If you don't, just keep your thoughts to yourself. Anyway, I'll walk you through and show you a couple things. I'll also throw up some pictures of kind of how we started things last year. But as you can see right now, and I'm just kind of adjust this so you can see things. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different garden beds all put in a row. Everything's above ground, no-till garden. And last year, which I'll put a picture of this up, last year we just started off with a little 8x8 section of garden, which produced a ton of food, by the way. A little 8x8 section it was. This little section right here you see with the tarp and stuff over it. We grew watermelons on a trellis, which worked decently. We grew cantaloupes on a trellis, which actually worked really well. We grew a bunch of okra, and let's see, I think that was it, if I remember right. But anyway, so then we kind of expanded. We went from one little section. All of this that's planted in okra right now was a big long compost pile. So this year we just we built a bigger compost section that you can see behind us, which I want to do a whole nother video on composting, because it's kind of foundational to everything we do here. But we turned this big compost pile into where we planted our okra this year, and we have been slammed with okra, which is awesome because it's my favorite. And if you live in the South, if you don't eat okra, then you're messed up. All right, but anyway, so we added these 2 sections and kind of worked with them last year. We also did some carrots in the fall last year that did okay. Hadn't had a ton of luck with carrots. But then we added these other sections for this year. We've expanded a lot. Last year was actually my first time ever growing a garden. I was kind of scared about it, nervous about it, didn't know how to do it. My mother-in-law definitely has a green thumb. So I wanted to kind of try our hand at it as well. And things went well. It was really easy. And the way we started, which I would encourage everybody to start this way, especially if you want to have a small just garden space in your backyard. A quick, easy way to do it, especially no-till, not needing any equipment, is set you out maybe a 8 by 8 foot by 8 foot section. Use all those Amazon boxes that y'all been getting over the past few months that have been stacking up. Use those and put those down as a weed barrier. That's exactly how we started last year. We just put boxes down as a weed barrier. I was able to get some old junky like wood millings, wood chips from different places. We were able to just get some other topsoil and things that we had from different places around the farm. But if you plan far enough out ahead, if you put down those boxes as your weed barrier and let them sit for a while, it'll kill all the weeds and grass under it. And you can just let it compost and it'll decompose in place and you can plant right through it. All right, so if you want to go easy and plan out a little bit ahead, you can do that. And if you want to do a fall garden, you can do that right now as well. We're getting kind of cranked up for that. All right, but if you've seen from the pictures, and even this space, I'll kind of step forward here a little bit further. This is probably a, I don't know, maybe, we'll say a 20 foot by, we'll say 20 foot by 45 foot garden section, okay? This has produced so much food for us, so much that we've stored up and prepared to save into wintertime, and even allowed us to share a lot of it and sell it to other places this summer, which we didn't really expect and plan on doing. All right, but I just want to show you that if you have a backyard, okay, it doesn't matter how big of a backyard. I could probably guarantee that the majority of y'all watching this could plant a garden this size. All right, especially if you hate to cut grass, plant a garden. It's less grass you have to cut, right? Okay, but planting something like this, even an 8 foot by 8 foot section, even a 16 foot by 8 foot, however big, can make you so much food. All right, so much food that you can share it with others. And even if you want to get in with other people, maybe in your neighborhood, y'all can each start your own little small gardens. Each of you grow something different and everybody share it. All right, there's so many good things, so many different ways that you can do gardens that it's not even funny. All right, tons of stuff. So for us this year, I already showed you okra. We planted a bunch of okra a little bit here and a little bit down there. Our biggest issues with it have definitely been deer. We've done a lot of the liquid fence stuff, which has worked okay, but it's kind of an ongoing back and forth battle, especially if we get rain and washes stuff off. So that's kind of been a battle. Also had some harder weather to begin with, but it's tough. It bounces back and it does great. We've also planted a little bit of kale right here, and that'll last it even on into the fall for us. We've planted, let's see here, 5 different tomato plants, which they're still producing. We've gotten a ton of tomatoes off of these plants. They're doing great. Then in this big weed bed right here, which this is going to be an area that I prep for our fall garden probably today. We had 4 different types of squash growing in here, and all those got picked out probably 3 weeks ago, so we'll have to increase that a little bit. One thing I tried is in between these okra rows here, I planted some cabbage, which we actually got 2 or 3 really decent heads of cabbage before it got too hot. But we'll also replant cabbage in the fall because it's more of a cooler season crop. I was just gonna try to squeeze some in, especially since they'd be shaded. You can see there's a couple little heads still in there, but I'm just gonna pull those up and feed those to the chickens. One thing that we've also done this year for the first time is Brussels sprouts. And I'm probably gonna lower this down and turn the camera around so you can see this better. There we go, I got it now. So one thing we've done this year is grown Brussels sprouts, and you see I've got this net over the top of it. And that's because Brussels sprouts are also kind of a cooler season vegetable. All right, it likes cooler weather. It can grow for longer periods of time. So the sun was starting to beat it down a good bit, so I put the shade cloth over the top of it, and it's really helped it a ton. But I'll bend down here and show you that with Brussels sprouts, the sprouts actually grow off the sides. You can see in between here, they grow off the sides of this main trunk. And every couple weeks or so, what I do is I come in and I clip off each of these limbs so the plant can actually concentrate on growing the sprouts instead of leaves. So right now, it's about time for me to start plucking some of these sprouts off. You can see, and these Brussels sprouts will continue to grow up and grow out into the fall and even into winter. All right, so I put that shade cloth over there to kind of help give them a little bit of relief from the summer heat. It allows them to continue to grow. Now, one thing we've tried to do this summer that we haven't done in the past, and I didn't have a lot of luck with, is Ichiban. This is my lone surviving Ichiban right here. It's hanging on. Had a lot of trouble with, I call them bullet bugs, in the beginning of summer. Would come through and eat the leaves, and with our kind of couple cold snaps that we had at the beginning of the spring, kind of made things tough. Actually replanted those Ichiban plants probably twice. Then over here, we've got broccoli, which broccoli has been a battle, especially for me. I've never grown a great broccoli yet, even though it looks huge and looks nice. Broccoli is also a cool season plant that I tried to get a harvest from before it got hot. But our spring just kind of went, from freezing temperatures to got really hot really quick. So what happens is when it starts to get hot outside, you can see that this broccoli plant has gone to seed. It starts to flower, it skips making a broccoli head that you can eat and starts to make seeds and go to flower. So I let this one go to seed just so I could specifically show you that, but I'm also gonna toy around with maybe saving some of these seeds and replanting them again this fall and even next year. But one thing I've tried to do is, even though these broccoli plants are wanting to go to seed and not produce, what I've done is I've gone through, and anytime they start to go to seed, I clip the head off. And I've heard that, they wouldn't produce even once you did that, but you can see that here and there, we'll still get a little broccoli head starting to grow that we can clip. You can even see over here, I've clipped this plant a few times, and you can see we got a nice little broccoli head forming there, and some others in some other places. So even though this has been hot, I've tried to go through and prune things out to where they still could potentially produce a little bit of something. But at the end of the day too, even though these didn't really produce a lot of broccoli heads, you can actually eat these leaves, all right? Even the same thing with the cabbage leaves. You don't have to just rely on the heads. You can cook these just like you would cook a head of cabbage. All right, we've done them in the pan, kind of stir fried them, bacon grease, butter, all the good stuff, and they taste great. All right, and also right here beside them, we've got a little trellis of green beans. The green beans actually did really well this year. Then on the other side of the green beans, we had cauliflower. We had about 6 heads of cauliflower that did awesome. One thing and mistake I made this year that I did not know about was that green beans and broccoli and cauliflower aren't good garden mates with each other. I should have read up about that and figured that out a little bit sooner. But they, like I said, they still produced well, but because they use up different nutrients from the soil and use a lot of the same nutrients, sometimes it can kind of stunt their growth and not allow them to produce as well. So also, if you're planting a garden, look into that too and figure out what grows well together, what doesn't. Also with this okra, we planted okra in this small box last year, so we needed to rotate it and plant it somewhere different this year, and we'll plant it in a different spot the following year. But also too, you've probably seen these flowers in the flower boxes around. Another thing that I learned from my mother-in-law is planting these flowers, marigolds and other flowers in your garden are natural ways to deter pests and insects. And I'll put another picture of this too in the video. Since we grow everything we have organically, we don't use any pesticides, herbicides. As you can tell, we don't use herbicides because we got weeds everywhere. The weeds kind of got out of control when we went on vacation earlier in the year. But once plants get developed, the weeds don't really do too much to them as far as their production. But some of these weeds, especially these leafed weeds that you see in this box that have little thorns on them, I actually started leaving some of those in the beds with the plants, especially earlier on, because the bugs that would come in, the beetles and different things, whether it's Japanese beetles or other kind of beetles, they'll actually, and potato bugs would actually get on those weeds and eat them versus being on the actual vegetable plants. So weeds do have a purpose. If you can manage them well, like I said, these kind of got a little bit out of control towards the end of the season. So I've just kind of let them go because I'm about to clean out all these beds, get them reset, recomposted, and ready to plant for the fall, okay? This bed that I have tarped up right here, it'll be all for the fall bed. And right here around on this trellis, we planted sweet potatoes, and that has also been a battle with the deer. So you can see, you can barely even see the leaves right now because the deer have come and eaten the heads or eaten the leaves off. But that doesn't affect the potatoes very much at all. They're under the ground. The leaves grow back really quick. So it all bounces out. Again, it's one of those give and takes. So yeah, that's kind of just a quick snapshot of our garden. Like I said, no matter where you are, no matter how much space you have, if you have no space, if you live in an apartment, you can plant a tomato in a bucket on your back porch. Okay, you can plant little things, little herbs that you can use. All right, and I just encourage you to do that. Number one, because it's healthier, saves you a little money. It's not hard to do, and if you mess up, that's okay, because you can always try something else, plant something else. There's always a different season coming to try something different. But this has been a lot of fun for us. It's been a lot of fun for our girls, especially if you have kids right now. With school situations being different, planting a garden would be something great to do. It teaches them a lot of different things, not only about growth, but taking care of things, growing, and being able to benefit from your work as well. So it's been a lot of fun for our girls on many nights during the summer to sit down at our dinner table and everything that we're eating to have come from the farm, whether it's chicken, whether it's these vegetables, and for them to take pride in, you know, stuff that they've helped do. Okay. So yeah, it's just a quick little snapshot of the garden. It's done great for us this year. Looking forward to learning from some mistakes, especially I guess the biggest one in terms of weeds and doing things organically. Next year I'm gonna, or even going into the fall, I'm gonna do a better job of putting down some weed barriers and composting under that to help push back some of these weeds, because honestly, I just didn't quite think about that as good as I should have. Because when you first do it, when you first put down, especially if you do no-till, putting down the cardboard, that cardboard helps keep the weeds out, and we didn't even have to worry about weeds very much last year when we first got started. But I didn't put that together for this year, but that's okay. Learn something every day. So I'd love to get your thoughts, especially for all you gardeners out there. I know there's a lot of you. I could learn a ton from you, especially when it comes to Ichiban, because that's one of my wife's favorite foods, favorite vegetables, and she needs me to do a better job of that. So if you got any tips, put those in the comments, send a message. Also with the broccoli, I'm gonna give the broccoli another shot here in the fall. Hopefully we can get it producing some bigger heads of everything. But yeah, it's all good. So we're gonna do some more broccoli, cauliflower. We've ordered all our seeds for the fall from different places. So all of our seeds are non-GMO seeds. We're switching everything we do over to be non-GMO, whether it's feeds, vegetables, and we can talk more about what that is and why. We can do that later. But we're trying to do everything as organically as possible. Now, before we end, a lot of people are scared of growing organic because they feel like it's a ton of work and doesn't produce as much. And we've learned that it's really not that much work. All right. There's obviously ways that you can get organic potting soils and compost and stuff from the store. Now for us, it's easy to do organic because we have lots of things that we compost, whether it's wood chips. We've got tons of manure available to us, whether it's horse manure or cow manure, which is pretty much what grows all of this for us. We've been able, with other projects, we've gotten access to our own topsoils, which is in great shape. So growing organic for us has been super easy, and it has not been expensive, okay? Because we've been able to get all those elements ourselves out here. Now, one way you can go completely organic with the plants that you do, even the little 8x8 garden, or even if you're going bigger scale, compost is the key. And I wish I could go into that right now, but I won't. You can look forward to that composting video to be a little bit later. But as you can see, growing organic, we've been slam full of stuff. We'll continue to be slam full of stuff because growing things this way are very tolerant of drought, very tolerant of lots of water. And when things are just done naturally and biologically, things are just tougher, all right? When you get into these engineered seeds, engineered foods, if they're not in their sweet spot, they don't produce as well. So ultimately, whether you're doing organic, whether you're doing chemically managed or biologically enhanced seeds and vegetables, they all come out to be about the same based off of the research and stuff that we've done. And it's just healthier. So there you go. All right. I think that's it. I think that's all to talk about for now. Like I said, we'll talk about composting in another video. Maybe touch on anything that I forgot about. But now I'm about to get started with taking all these weeds out of this bed and getting it ready for the fall. So we'll do some other videos of that and what we plant and how we're planting it and how we're doing it. If you have any suggestions, again, please share those. And first thing you need to do is go plant your own garden. Send us pictures, tell us how it's going, and we'll see you next time. Later.